Today's guest is a multi-hyphenate musician, pastry chef, restaurateur, one of the most respected, beloved, award-winning chefs around, Brooks Headley of Superiority Burger. We had him on in 2019. The world was a different place, and he was in a different location for his restaurant. We're going to talk about the new space. We're in New York City right now, so we're not doing the cooking bit as we've long promised. So if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably like, hooray. But when we get back, you'll see that we're probably cooking again. And hopefully we'll have Brooks join us in our LA studio. But let's get on with the show. Welcome to the Dave Chang Show, part of the Ringer Podcast Network, presented by Major Domo Media. Thank you, Yola Tango, as always. Don't forget to check out our clips and episodes of our show on our YouTube channel at The Dave Chang Show. Join our Discord at majordomo.com. Chris Ying and Noel have been messing around with these cook-along sessions. And I haven't joined one yet because I've been recording and working on other things, but you should check it out if you're interested in learning more about food and the community of recipes. We're going to go down the rabbit hole on some very favorite recipes from around the sort of blogosphere and food news sites. So, but you can't do it unless you join our Discord community. So check that out. In a second, you're going to hear me interview Brooks Headley of Superiority Burger. He was on a podcast again in 2019, and the focus of that podcast, if I recall, was really talking about his ability to create in confined spaces. And that location was tiny. It was also a beautiful thing to see how they found all the efficiencies possible to make some of the best food in New York City. Brooks was a drummer in heavy metal bands, iconic metal bands. And then, he's from the Maryland, Baltimore area, and he worked at Galileo, which was by the great Roberto Donna. And he spent time in the pastry department there and, bounced around here or there, then was at Campanile under Mark Peel, the chef, and Nancy Silverton, the great Nancy Silverton, who's been a guest on this pod. And then he became the pastry chef with a few other stops along the way at Del Posto with Mark Ladner. And Mark's reopening up Babbo. And there are moments in time in food, if you lived in New York City or any city where there has a great food scene, that, it's like having a great season in sports, whatever the sport may be, where it's just like a glorious thing. And it's just really a moment in time. And when him and Mark were together for, several years, it got better and better and better until they both left. And sitting at the bar, far end, all the way down, back of Del Posto, on a late Wednesday, Thursday night at like 9:30, 10 p.m. was one of my favorite activities because I would eat some of the best food, bar none, in the city. Then I'd have some of the best dessert, bar none, in the city. And they were so creative and done in an Italian lens, which is very rigid in its creativity, but they found a way. And one of my most favorite chefs around, and I think the world of him. And more importantly, I think he's an original voice, and people should copy the hell out of Brooks, not necessarily his food. They should be inspired by the food, but I think they should copy his point of view and having a unique point of view at that. And really, really excited to have him back on the podcast. So let's get to that interview right now. If you don't know who this is Brooks Headley, chef, owner of Superiority Burger. We've had him on before the world and in 2019, and excited to have him back. I wanted to read this because I wrote this for him, and I still maintain it's probably the coolest thing that Time has ever done with their Time 100 award. Before he was a chef, Brooks was a drummer. To follow his journey from hardcore punk clubs to fine dining kitchens to the forefront of culinary innovation is to reconsider not just how we view cooking, but also how we might better express ourselves. His New York City restaurant, Superiority Burger, brings together a motley crew for a shared dining experience unlike any other. The menu, which I hesitate to describe as vegetarian, because it sounds so restrictive, is a dynamic canvas for the freshest farmers market finds. The namesake burger is otherworldly. His focaccia is unreal. The gelato's outrageous, etc., etc. To me, Brooks is the American embodiment of the Japanese shokunin, a singularly dedicated, innovative, authentic craftsman. His restaurant challenges our notions of what makes for great cuisine and where you can find it. He has influenced the global dialogue about sustainability and ethics in food, all while avoiding the spotlight. Brooks is happiest working in the background. After all, he is a drummer at heart. And, you know, they asked me to write that intro, and I wanted to do it as best I could because, I mean, New Yorkers might know, and there might be food people that know, but to an audience at large, they may not know who you are. They definitely might have had your food at Del Posto or one of your other stops when you're in Washington, D.C. And the reason I love you being awarded this, because you've won a lot of awards, you would not be seeking this award out.
No, I didn't even know they still did it.
Yeah, right? And to me, this was cool in the sense that normally it's awarded to people that are in the news all the time.
Yeah, no, it was pretty weird situation.
And it's a testament to what I believe is something that's singular, and something that I think New York City and food in general need a lot more of, is something that is not what everyone else does.
Yeah, I definitely do something different for sure, you know. So I will say that the coolest part of that Time 100 thing, in all of it, like at the actual ceremony, I went with my girlfriend, and she had cobbled together like a suit for me at all those shops on like, is it 5th or 6th Avenue, like near Union Square, and it was very clear we were going to return everything, you know? And so anyway, cobbled it all together, went to the thing, and then, like nerds, we were the first people into like the kind of ceremony room. It was in Lincoln Center. And the first person that we saw that was also being a nerd and getting to their seat early was E. Jean Carroll. And E. Jean Carroll had just had a huge party at Superiority Burger. So I walked up to her and said hello, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're the only person I know here." And I was like, "All right, this is cool." So
very cool. You know, it's a strange honor. Like I was fortunate enough to win that award too, and you're just like, what am I doing here? You know, you never thought cooking. Number one, when we started cooking, it was not sort of cool to be a cook.
No, definitely not.
Has you agree that's changed?
Oh yeah, for sure. Totally.
So to get that recognition, I was just so happy for you, because it's not like a food award or anything like that. It's not your usual suspects. And I couldn't think of anyone more deserving, because it really does innovate. I mean, what you've done is so innovative and singular. So it was an honor to be able to write that for you. And I was happy that they asked me. But since you've been last on the pod, 2019, so much has changed.
Yeah, that was 1 million lifetimes ago. So.
It really feels
yeah.
Another lifetime. And at that time, you were still at the old location.
Yep.
And a lot of that podcast, if I recall, was about the limitations of space.
Oh, yeah. No, it was a very small space. It was 5 seats. We always had to have we would pay retail rent for a prep kitchen across the street because we didn't have a basement. And yeah, I mean, but from 2015 to 2019 until COVID hit, it you know, I somehow made it work. Like somehow it stayed in business for 4 years, which doesn't make any sense because the prices that I was charging were criminally low. And
the reason why were they criminally low?
It's a number of reasons, and with the retrospect of having it and saying this, knowing that when we moved to our new space, our prices had to increase pretty exponentially, which is fine. It's like the way it goes, you know. But my whole thing there was I wanted it to be as accessible as humanly possible, almost to the point of it not working, which it didn't really work. And it relates back to, like, you know, record labels and bands that I was in and that I admired in the 90s and the 2000s, where everything was like almost as cheap as possible. And
DIY, and you have
yeah, and that's like, I mean, that's still kind of like, that's still around. I'm still filled with deep, deep anguish every time we have to raise a price on something. But it also, like, having the prices low and doing the food that we were doing at the small space on 9th Street, um, it it's really interesting to see now, because that was 10 years. We turned 10 years old this year, so that was 10 years ago. Yeah, no, it's crazy. But a lot of the people that were regulars when we first opened were kids, because kids that were like savvy, and not even all of them were vegetarian. Like kids that were going to school somewhere in Lower Manhattan, and a lot of those kids are now adults, and
some of them might have kids.
Yeah, and have their own restaurants, or have these like crazy jobs, and we see them every so often now. Not as much as we used to, because they used to live right by. Now maybe they live in Brooklyn or whatever. But like it like cultivated like a customer base. So I don't regret the fact that it was super cheap like that. It did come back to bite me in the ass every day.
But I think it's important maybe to put into context for a listener that didn't listen to that or may not have been to the old location. And I have to remind myself, because not everyone knows the biography, all the stats that you or other chefs had in the past. You spent time, and it was one of my favorite moments ever in New York City dining was when you and Latner were at Del Posto, and sitting at the bar to me was just the best. It was my goddamn favorite thing to do. I ate there so many nights, oftentimes solo, because you just had two of the best minds doing innovation in a very classic format. And that tension I thought was beautiful.
Yeah, it was incredibly fun and incredibly rewarding, and I learned so much working for Ladner. And he's about to do a new thing, and we're all very excited.
So I remember talking to you. You're like, "No, I don't want any plates. I don't want none of that.
God, only one plate now."
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I remember I was like, "I've been there. I understand it. You just almost want to wash away anything that happened before, and the prospect of just serving it into a paper cup,
right,
is just like all amazing."
Yeah. At the time, it was like, dishes were specifically designed to work in, a little American flag boat, or, little.
So
cardboard.
What would you call that period in the food that you made at, that 4-year stretch, right? Like,
yeah,
because it's different. It's what you do now is the same, but I feel like
no, it's different.
It's different. How would you describe what that was and what it is where you move now in the old Odessa space? What you get to?
It's hard to say. Like some of the items are exactly the same. They're just in a bowl now. And some of the things have definitely, now I can do things differently that I couldn't have done.
Like what?
Like anything flat. Like you couldn't serve anything flat that you had to eat with a knife, because it wouldn't work, So, like we did like an eggplant kind of schnitzel thing over the summer when the eggplants were great. And I remember thinking, like, I could have never done this before because I didn't have a plate, and I didn't want to have plates, and I was anti-plates.
You really were anti-plates.
I was so anti-plates. But it's funny, because once COVID hit, and every restaurant, not to sound like a total smartass or whatever, but every restaurant sort of became Superiority Burger. That was like like an ambitious restaurant was like making food and putting it in to-go containers, And that's when I was like, oh, well, I don't want to do it anymore then.
So what is it about it? Because, a lot of people, I have it to some degree. What is it about it in food where you got to zag,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why do I have to make it harder for myself?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like I do it constantly. Like,
but you've always done it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
In music.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things that it's just part of who I am. I don't know, like I'm deeply Gen X, like whatever that means. But I like doing things the opposite direction. It just feels good. So yeah,
I don't know how to express it myself, but it gives you new territory to chart out, and I think that's what's happened. And honestly, I haven't been to the new location, but I want to make it there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I walked down here from SB today. I set aside like a full hour to walk down here because if I'm at work, when I enter the building in 119 Avenue A, I usually don't leave. Maybe I'll walk around the block or something during service, but I usually don't leave until I go home. So I went in this morning, and then I was like, oh well, yeah, I'll just walk down. And it was such. There are months that go by where I don't leave this triangle, which is my apartment at 7th and C, the restaurant, which is A between St. Mark's and 7th, and the Green Market at Union Square. Like, I won't go anywhere but those three places. So it felt really kind of beautiful and amazing to walk down here today, like through the Lower East Side, through Chinatown, into the financial district. And like, I don't know, there's a Ramones song, All's Quiet on the Eastern Front, where he said the line in the song is like, New York beauty takes my breath away. And I fucking fully felt that as I was walking down here today. And then I realized, oh shit, because I never listen to music if I'm walking around. I don't know. I'm not sure why. I just don't. Anyway, like, I'm like, fuck, I can listen to that song right now. I can listen to any song I want right now. So I had my headphones on me, which I don't normally do. And I was only a block away from here, and I put the headphones on and played that song. And I was like, wow, fucking awesome. Like, song rules. And then I almost immediately got hit by a bus that was like one of those buses that's like kids on a field trip kind of thing. And so I took the headphones off and walked over here. So.
Well, I'm gonna do my best. I just can't wait to eat there. My relationship with the city is so weird right now, but I wish. I mean, I changed my phone numbers and I ported it over, but I have all of these text messages from you. And what I love most about it is randomly, it would always be a random time. You'd be like, hey, I'm doing this. I have this idea. And I just was like, there's a sense of real excitement and joy of what you're doing. And I remember when you told me, hey, I'm signing the Odessa space. It's like,
oh, right. Yeah. No, a lot of texts. I couldn't believe it. I still don't believe it.
Yeah. So. Or it's just like, hey, I made this bread, or I do this. Like, there's very few people that, how should I say it? What do you do to remain fresh and not cynical about food? Because it's always vibrant in your brain.
I'm not sure. For me, it's just I'm constantly learning something new, or I'm constantly trying to learn something new. And which is weird because it's a vegetarian restaurant. So I'm eliminating all this stuff. And I'm not a vegetarian. I have a very complicated relationship to food. I should be vegetarian. If I go out, I eat meat like a 6-year-old. But I constantly want to figure out a new thing. And sometimes those things, like, I have tons of notebooks at the restaurant, which we just all take notes in, and mine are like, we'll start with an idea or just scratch that idea. And then they'll be like, I'll put a link to like a YouTube video I watched or something. And then, oh, there was this one dish that we had at Yang's Kitchen in LA last time I was there. And then it all kind of turns into this thing. And then the next thing I know, I've made like 10 iterations of the dish. And the last one is nothing like the first one, but like one tiny element changed on an old dish that maybe no one will ever notice ever. But I don't know, I'm cool with that. So, but it's still totally exciting and interesting to me every single day. So
yeah, I've never once in my knowledge or recollection, I was like, oh, you might be upset about something. But when it comes to the possibility to create a dish, or even if, again, it's like, again, I got to look at my old phone because it was like, I was scrolling through it one day. I was like, man, there's like no negativity about the thought of food.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
compared to other chef friends, it's just like bitching.
Believe me, I can be totally despairingly negative too. Don't worry. So, but, no, I just like, I still find it totally interesting. And like, the vegetarian aspect of it, like I'm tortured by it at this point because I never wanted to be like the fake meat restaurant, which it never would be. But there are times when I kind of veer towards those directions. And I was like, okay, how can I make, which is funny because saying Superiority Burger, which is the name of the main thing is in the name. But we have a handful of regulars that have never even had the burger. They just eat everything else. And I'm totally into that. I think it's great.
What version of the burger are you at now? Because I think when we had you on 2019, it was like 64, version 64.
Yeah, it's pretty tight right now. Like I totally fucked it up and changed everything during COVID because I had time and then realized it sucked and then went back to the original. And luckily I have Edith Varela, who has been with me since like a month after the restaurant opened, and she is like our main production person in the basement, and she makes all the burgers, or trains new people to make the burgers, and it's psychotic, her like laser like seasoning in these huge, very huge bulk batches, and we didn't have room for a mixer at the old space. So now we have a mixer, which we mainly use to like mix the burger mix. But previously it would just be like someone standing on a milk crate so they could get high above the prep table and get their hands in a bus tub and mix everything up. So, but it's pretty standard at this point. I'm still not totally satisfied with it. Like it could definitely be, it could stand to be a little firmer, but everything I've tried to make it, like I went down a whole hydrocolloid zone during COVID too.
What were you adding?
It's not for me. It's not for me.
What did you add?
I went through a whole methylcellulose phase, and let's just say it didn't go well. So that was fine. It was a learning experience, So, but it's pretty. The recipe is pretty tight right now. We even have the only thing that we don't make in house at the restaurant, pretty much are the buns for the burgers and Heinz ketchup, which we started doing fries about a year and a half ago. So I've learned how a restaurant that sells French fries is just drowning in ketchup, But the bun, we use a commercial bun now, but I have a recipe. It's totally doable. It's amazing. It was developed by Rick Easton at Bread and Salt.
Which is in New Jersey.
Yeah. One of my favorite places in town. Rick is the person who taught us about taught us our focaccia recipe.
One of the best bakers in the world.
Oh yeah, like no question. But we have this bun and it's amazing and it's so weird because it's kind of pale, but it's really squishy. It's beautiful and but wait, I can't rip the Band-Aid off because we have two very large, very temperamental combi ovens. And for the entirety of the 2.5 years of Superiority Burger, the times where we've had both ovens working at the same time is very small.
Did you have combi at the old? You only had rationale.
No,
you had just convection.
Just a small gas, like took half sheet trays, So, so I really want to start making the buns too, but I can't. Once I can't start and then pull back. So I have to.
I think everyone will be okay, but there's no point in telling you no because I probably think that it's going to happen at some point.
Sure. We used to do pop-ups all the time and we kind of halted them until last year and we started kind of doing them intermittently and we actually did one at Key Spaca in LA in June and we made the menu that we were doing. We did a Sunday lunch, 3-hour lunch, and we prepped for like 4 days straight. There was like 3 of us, 4 of us actually. But we made buns there and we drove the members of the Mozaplex totally insane by they had to go in the oven at exactly this time and but we made them and it was awesome because we just decided we were going to push ourselves beyond what was absolutely necessary and it felt amazing.
Going back to this idea when you were talking about keeping this workbook of ideas, you mentioned something that I think about quite a bit. the 11th version might look nothing like the first version that you thought about.
Yeah,
originally.
totally.
Do you find that when working with cooks that are putting some new dishes, or you're working on an idea together, that they get disappointed, or they try? I think that it's the normal setting in humans to maybe go as the crow flies when making a dish, and they want to go to 11 immediately.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I mean, I was there too at one point. You know, it just takes like, again, forgive this for sounding pretentious, but like culinary maturity. Like you just have to make stuff over and over and over again, and have, you know, I'm sure you agree with this. All great restaurants have this like definitive point of view, and that's part of the reason that has everything to do with the food and nothing to do with the food.
But you just more great restaurants have a definitive point of view.
Yeah,
not every restaurant.
No.
But how much of that is the masochism or in failing? You know, it like almost keeps you alive when you're making a dish to some degree. The pain is so great.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, you talking about the burger, I can see it. It's just like never satisfying enough.
No, I mean, like I'm living this. Like, so like yesterday, my main like kitchen manager, sous chef person, Nico Pryor Alcantar, has been with us for like 5 years. Like he started as a dishwasher at the old space, and now he's basically running the kitchen. But I basically left the seasonal specials to him for pretty much most of August, and all I did for August was work on non-seasonal specials, ordering like commodity produce, which was funny because I was like making stuff with eggplant and peppers that I was getting off a truck, and there were the most beautiful eggplant and peppers at the market, because I didn't want to get stuck. Because what always happens to us is the menu's fairly small. It's 12 items, but there's constant changing with specials, like lunch specials, dinner specials, dessert, everything. And that's part of the reason that, like, for some people, that's why they like to come to the restaurant. And it has
a pulse.
Yeah. And it's cool.
It's rarer than rare these days. It's also the hardest way to run a restaurant.
No, I know. It makes it incredibly hard and incredibly ridiculous. But like Nico so we had this hot dog that we ran for lunch last year, and it was pretty good, and it made sense. And our lunches are never busy, so it felt a little less. Dinners are always busy, and lunches are quiet. It's just like the nature of the neighborhood, you know.
And East Village changed a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we have a 8 a.m. to 4 a.m. liquor license. I would love, if there was a world where I could be open 8 a.m. to 4 a.m., I would do it in a second.
That was one of the text messages you sent me.
In a second.
You're like so excited about the prospect that it could be a late night hang.
Yeah, but we had, I'm trailing off a little bit, but the latest we've been open at the new space was 2. And the people that are out late on Friday and Saturday nights, they don't have a tremendous amount of interest in the vegetarian food that we're making or whatever, or maybe any food at all until 3.
Going back to the space Odessa. Odessa was one of my favorite places to go in the East Village. So when you took over that space, I thought that didn't get enough credit about the transition of really an institution and turning it into what is a new kind of institution in the East Village.
Yeah, I mean, that was like, I've never had a tremendous amount of plans. Things just kind of like fall into place, which is not a great thing on my part. In this case, there was the plan. Once I discovered that the Odessa space was up for lease.
And it was a diner.
Yeah, it was the classic awesome diner that like almost everyone loved, you know. Everyone has a story about what used to happen there, you know, which is great. But my plan was always like, I kind of see myself as a kind of like a custodian of the space. And the two guys that ran Odessa, they also own the building, so they became our landlords. But a lot of people in restaurant groups and single restaurants and all sorts of things, banks wanted the space. It's an amazing location. It's 119 Avenue A, directly across the street from Tompkins, like right around the corner from St. Mark's. It's like on Avenue A. It's awesome. It's like 2 doors down from Ray's. And what I told the Odessa guys, our now landlords, was I was like, I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to keep it exactly the same. I'm going to fix up the stuff that needs to be fixed up. Granted, there's a lot more of that than we knew about from when we signed. But so when I say I see myself as a custodian of the space, like, it's this beautiful space that, like, and still looks the same. And it looks like a 70s diner, but it was built in like 94, 95. But so it's like a 70s diner from the 90s, which is funny too. It's funny too also because the original Odessa was next door. And a lot of times when I explain to people that, like, oh, this is actually not that old. It's only from 95. And there's a certain
I thought it was there forever.
Oh, the one 117 Avenue, yeah. And at one point there were two, like right next to each other. But yeah, like saying that to a younger person, like, oh, it's only from 95. They're like, that's still pretty old, man. Like, so we fixed up the stuff that needed to get fixed up, repainted the things that needed to get repainted, but it looks the same. Like and it was a long haul getting it ready again. So people would come in and be like, oh, you didn't do anything. It's like, you just can't see any of the stuff that was fixed and changed or whatever. But like, however long we have the space, whether that's 1 more year or 2 more years or 5 more years or 20 more years, I am an idealist at heart. So for me, I feel that, like, I'm keeping this space. So in my hopes that the next people or restaurant group or whoever takes it over, like, keeps it the same too. And maybe it becomes a seafood restaurant. Maybe 15 years from now we leave and somebody's like, I'm going to reopen Odessa. And I was like, well, it's here. Like, it's ready to go. You know, it's just the kitchen's nicer now, you know? So, but yeah, it's a very special room. I love being inside. So
what have been some of the biggest changes for you creatively, having more space? Because again, I think the hallmark of the old Superiority was limited space.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's massive. It's not like a Del Posto sized kitchen, but you have a lot more room.
Sure. I mean, the kitchen is huge. The basement is the size of the whole dining area.
Never been down there before.
And it's not like a super low ceiling. Like, it's a very comfortable. It was a pretty scary dungeon when we took it over. But it's a beautiful, amazing prep area now.
Walk-in freezer.
Oh yeah, a huge walk-in, a smaller walk-in, and a walk-in freezer. So, no, it's like the nicest. I mean, I did work at Del Posto, so I knew a very nice prep kitchen, but this is very close behind.
So what's changed? Because I've been involved with taking a restaurant and moving it a couple times, and there's always a bit of, how do we make it special like it was before? And how do we still connect with an audience that knew us before and now it's something different?
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, we have 75 seats in the main area, including the soda fountain and the bar. And then a back area, which our friend Anthony, who built our swing tables at the old restaurant,
they were like school desk things.
Yeah, Pete Wells called them burger desks, which I always really liked. So we thought about doing the same, like a similar seating section, like a small section in the restaurant with those, but we realized it didn't make sense aesthetically. So what I had him do instead was he built us partitions in the back area. This has now become like a small PDR, so we can do like parties up to like 17 people seated, or like kind of like past snacks things for like up to like 30 people if like people are coming in and out. And the funny part is the actual partitions were ripped off of the Smokehouse in Burbank. There's a partition that separates the kitchen from the dining room that I fell in love with. So I took a picture of it, sent it to Anthony, and he was able to like reproduce it almost exactly. And it's really the only kind of new thing that we added to the restaurant, and it looks kind of like it's always been there, which is cool.
And the smokehouse, if you're in LA, is a classic.
So classic.
So classic. You look inside, and you almost want people to be smoking cigarettes inside. That's how it looks like.
For sure.
So how do you not make the menu bigger than 12 items? Because don't you feel like, oh, it can be like a diner and have all these items?
Yeah. Well, when we started out, I actually wrote, and our designers even like designed the menu. It was kind of like a diner menu, and like we had a section that I was very proud of. It was called the Spud Zone, and that was going to be like 8 different kinds of potato preparations or whatever. And then I realized we did like psychotically extensive friends and family before opening. We did 3 full weekends, so almost a full month. It was maybe too much, but I also learned after the first weekend of friends and family, like it was going to be like there was going to be a lunch menu and then a totally different dinner menu and then a totally different late night menu. And I learned after the first day of friends and family, like, all right, this is not going to work. I need to kind of like go back to how we used to do it and make that work in the space. And part of the thing is like very few people, at least that say it to my face, would be like, oh, the menu's so small. But like each item is like 7 or 8 things. It's not. It's real.
It's a lot of work.
It's real cooking and it's real work and it's like breaking down 2 cases of collard greens at the old space didn't take that long, but breaking down 10 cases of collard greens twice a week, like that's a long time peeling off the stem and just getting it, just making the big food smaller to cook it is a tremendous amount of labor, So,
did you ever have a inkling? I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a tasting menu too. Did it cross your mind?
No. That never crossed my mind. I like as I would like, it was a full 18 months of construction. Very painful 18 months of construction. I'd never I didn't understand what like not actually working would be like. I thought when it was going to be 3 months when it was ready, when we initially planned, I was like, 3 months? Are you serious? Like, so, but the fact of the matter is like, we were able to, like if every dish has all these different components, like it feels. Part of the other thing about SB is like I don't like to really explain how it is or what it is. I just like it to kind of fall out there, and so some people, I think to some people it's hard for them to get, and then for other people, the people that really get it, like that tell me about it, like feels really good because I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally what I'm trying to do. So
18 months, long time.
So
that's
long.
A lot of anxiety.
So much anxiety.
But at the same time, would you agree? Like there's a moment pre-opening the restaurant, right before you do construction, where it's just a great feeling of possibility.
Oh, for sure.
It's like such an addictive feeling.
Yeah, and that didn't totally go away. Like the initial opening was very intense, and there were days where we did like almost 400 covers with at that point only 75 seats or maybe even 70 seats, where people would order like one thing and leave. So like the cover count didn't necessarily like directly like link up with like selling a lot of, or the money being particularly huge or whatever. But it's like I learned a lot really fast, and I'm still. So maybe that excitement like kind of like went away for a little bit, but it came back as soon as it could. So
I mean, you made some of your own beverages at the old location, but now you have a liquor license.
Yeah.
So when we moved to a larger location, back in the day, I never understood how important beverage sales were.
Sure. Yeah. And people don't drink anywhere near as much as they used to. So
no.
So like we used to.
You've seen the decline in beverage sales too.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. And I get it. Alcohol is totally poison. but yeah, it's something that we counted on that never like quite panned out, you know. But and
So you never were like having a huge like wine business anyway.
You know, it's one of those things, and I know you know what I mean by this. Like what you are when you come out of the gate is like you only get one shot at that, and people decide that's what you are.
Yeah.
And then that's it. You're done. Like, so like had we decided to be like a wine centric place and we started out like that, we'd probably still be, but we didn't. And you know, if somebody orders a bottle of wine, I'm like, oh my God, amazing. Like give them a free dessert or something, you know? So,
speaking of desserts, what gives you more pleasure these days? Making pastries and baked items and ice cream and gelato, or savory?
I mean, whenever desserts come up at the restaurant, I always tell people, you know, dessert's my real job. But
why do you say that?
Well, I was a pastry chef from 1999 until SB opened, and you know, that's not to say I'm not a pastry chef anymore. Occasionally I'll still make some ice cream every once in a while, or like, but I have an amazing pastry chef, Katie Tolles, and she like doesn't have a tremendous amount of experience, but has been with us for 5 years. She's one of those people, she kind of pisses me off sometimes because she's sort of good at everything. Like when we first were about to open up the restaurant, like it was like, oh, Katie's going to be expediter for sure. She's the greatest expediter of all time. And then and ended up, she became the pastry chef, and I love her stuff. And it's a really like, she understands like my sensibilities and has her own at the same time. So it feels really good when she's creating stuff because we have a good rapport and we kind of understand each other. And and she also just like, she has this once a week she does this thing called the fancy dessert, which is like a hot and cold thing. It's always vegan for there's no reason for it to only be vegan. It's just we started out like that, so we just kept it. But the one she has today, it's like this whole s'mores thing. And I love, like in my old age, I love like the kind of like the most kind of basic kind of like dessert flavors. You know, I was the chocolate and eggplant guy at one point and the celery sorbet guy, but I love like if whatever reason I need to make a batch of ice cream, somebody's on vacation or whatever, I always make vanilla. That's what always.
I mean, nobody makes ice cream or gelato like you, man.
Well, I mean, I learned working at Campanile, you know, in the early 2000s. Like that's where I really, really learned how to do that stuff. Because before, when I'd worked at restaurants or I worked at a Ritz-Carlton at one point, which was hilarious.
I can't see you.
Oh yeah, no, I got the whole thing still memorized. I could do it later. Like
I'm only laughing because that is like a very regimented.
Oh yeah. Almost like a cult. At least it was in the early 2000s, and I was super into it. And I left my first restaurant job, which was Galileo in DC. When I worked at Galileo, and I started cooking in '99, so I feel like I came in like the end of like a certain era of chefs and the way things were. Like the sous chefs and a lot of the cooks at Galileo in 1999 were like 45, 50 years old. These like bitter dudes that could cook their asses off. Like I was old. I felt like I was old at the time when I started. I was 27, but these guys were like old and grizzled and stuff. And like, you know, like one of the last things that I remember when I worked there is Jean-Louis Paladin did a dinner in the private room. And I remember walking by and Jean-Louis in the private room smoking a cigarette.
Always smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, in between courses or whatever. And I remember thinking like this is, I should remember this. Like this is, something is happening here. And maybe it's because I was a little older and I wasn't like a 21-year-old starting in a kitchen. Like something is happening here and it's about to end. And that's totally what happened, you know, because he died maybe that year or the next year.
Of lung cancer, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure.
And he is a reason why we have a lot of good ingredients to begin with, is Jean-Louis Paladin. I got to cook for him a long time ago too. That was very cool. Going back to the idea of you being a pastry chef. And there's the only other person I'm putting you in the same sort of universe, and that's how highly I think about you, is the only other person that would rather cook pastry and sweets and desserts is Albert Adria. Right?
That's cool.
What is it about that, right? Like I asked him once and he's like, because it's fucking harder.
Mm.
He said
it is harder. It's totally harder.
He wanted the ultimate challenge.
Yeah.
Because there is something that is in all of us that choose this profession where we sort of are attracted to the pain and difficulty, And he said it where he's like, my fucking brother is going to give you 5 hours of savory bites. You're going to have 27 courses of savory food. I know, because I've been in those shoes. Nobody wants to eat.
Yeah. You don't want dessert.
5 more courses.
Hell no.
So that's why I want the fucking challenge. And I want that last bites to be better than anything they had before.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was like, I definitely think you guys have that same sort of, not entirely, but there's got to be similarities there.
Yeah. I mean, I've never met him before, but like the first at Galileo, the head chef at the time, like had his dessert cookbook, which that was in the Albuli cookbooks that came out before any of the other ones, right?
Yeah.
And he would show it to me, and he'd be like, "Oh, I went to this." He's like, "I went to this place like a couple years ago when I was in Spain. You should just look at all this stuff." And I'm just like, "This is insane. Like, this is insane. Like, what are they doing?"
If you look at this book, and I'm pretty sure it's out of print, but it may look sort of normal today. Not really normal.
I haven't actually looked at it in a while, so I don't know.
But I would imagine, like back then, it's like looking at another language.
Sure. Yeah.
The techniques that were happening then.
But yeah, that whole idea of like, the right dessert has to work when people aren't even hungry anymore. Like maybe at all, especially at Del Posto. Like you might have 2 or 3 courses of pasta.
But everybody look forward to dessert. That's crazy at Del Posto.
Yeah, no, I've had a blast like coming up with stuff, and it was really amazing to work with Ladner in that sense, where he would sometimes say like, oh, like he would name an ingredient or something and be like, do something like that, and then sometimes it was he just kind of like I won't say he totally left me to my own devices. Like he was definitely like the boss, and I definitely checked like if I was going to do something new, like he had to like it first, and that's like, but I enjoyed that. Like having like a rapport with a colleague in the kitchen is like a really big thing, especially like, I wasn't necessarily going to stay at Del Posto forever the same way like a lot of my cooks and kitchen leaders aren't going to stay at SP, so.
The combo, going back to you and Ladner, just thinking about it, I was like, how many other great combos have there been that we're transcendent? These in food in your city, you have these little moments in time, and this, your restaurant now might be at a high point, and sometimes it's a low point because staff changes and life happens and whatever. But there was that period of Del Posto, which was just truly one of these golden moments in food in New York City, because it just seemed like it belonged, it made sense. But you and Ladner made sense. As I'm talking about savory and a pastry chef combination. I think when WD had Sam and Alex,
oh yeah,
that was like the fucking
like the greatest. The greatest. Like I would, before I ever lived in New York, I would come up and just sit at the bar and eat their desserts, so. And
the only other, I know there are other combos, but off the top of my head would be Calicchio and Claudia, somebody that you love dearly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Claudia Fleming of Gramercy Tavern. I don't want to say names where people are like, oh, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, Claudia's the best, for sure.
So the other thing is, everybody, I'm sure, asks you about expansion. And I know you've had pop-ups and
we had a place in Tokyo.
Yeah. And when you did that, I was like, dude, that's going to crush, because whatever you do translates so perfectly into Japanese culture.
Yeah, the whole Tokyo thing was just bad timing. It opened on December 20th, 2019. So by March, the borders of Japan were closed. You know, like, and despite the fact that Tokyo is this enormous, incredible, like one of my favorite places ever, it's not the most vegetarian friendly place. You know, I mean, there are things, you know, but it's and our we had a great, I mean, still our partner over there, and he explained that to us at the beginning. He's like, it might take 4 or 5 years to truly catch on. COVID obviously like throttled that, but you know, I mean, he kept it going for as long as he could, and even moved it to a different location and stuff. But, and interestingly, it was from the time it opened to the first time I was able to go back was a full 2 years. Like it was 2020 to 2022, and I will say that like I went back having no idea what to expect, because we had we had taught the crew there everything in late 2019, early 2020. And everything that we had taught them was still exactly the same. It was the best. I mean, there was some weird stuff too. Like they wanted it to be kind of like SB in New York, like constant specials, but like there wasn't like a chef or a person there to do that. So they were kind of doing some crazy things. Like when I went back the first time, they had hummus on the menu, which was like, I was like, all right, no good, you know? When I went back in 2022 for that first time, I'd only been there a day, so I hadn't actually made anything. I was just like seeing what was going on and seeing what we needed to like alter and change. And Malcolm Livingston was in town, and I didn't know he was coming.
Also a part of the WD family.
Oh yeah, another one of the great WD pastry chefs for sure. But he just like walked in, and I was like, oh, you know, like, and so I just ran into the back kitchen and like kind of cobbled together like. I made him like a little mini tasting on a tray all at once. Of all things that I had made none of this stuff. It had been made, you know, before I even arrived in Japan. And he was like, fuck, you figured it out, how to have a restaurant fucking 10,000 miles away and it's still fucking great. And I was like, oh, yep. like somehow I had done that, but which I hadn't, you know, so.
Vegetables taste different there?
Oh yeah, for sure. They taste different, and they're like, they're just, it's some things are way better than anything we can get here, and some things are just like, what the fuck is this, you know? So, I mean, the sweet potatoes alone, like, are just the greatest. We went, when we were in the process before the pre-opening, we actually went to, like, I guess what would be considered, like, the Baldor of Tokyo or whatever, and, like, there was, like, a sweet potato wing. It's amazing.
And I know, you know, I remember having one conversation about, you know, Los Angeles as well, and you've done a pop-up, and boy, Southern California produce, also very different and delicious.
I mean, I will say that I am always trying to figure out something in Los Angeles. I lived there. I mean, it was a long time ago. It was 20 years ago when I lived there, but in a way, I weirdly have more friends there than I do here. My girlfriend does film work, so she splits her time between New York and LA, but she's mostly out there. So I'm out there a lot, visiting family and friends, and just like, and pretty much just going to farmers markets every day. Like,
and there's so many people may not realize.
No, you can go almost every day. I think Friday is a little weird, but that I'm sure someone's gonna be, oh, the fucking thing. On Friday is amazing. You're just an idiot, you know. So, but like last time I was there over Labor Day, and we drove down to Torrance for the Tuesday market. Fucking rules, and the Hollywood market rules, and the fucking 4 p.m. South Pasadena
the rules. Best. That's my favorite market.
I had a melon there like 2 years ago. That was the greatest melon I've ever had, and I bought 3, and as soon as we got home, I ate the melon. That's like the whole melon. Did
you have any Weiser's melons this year?
Yeah. Also incredible. I mean, it's just like I guess I was there a few weeks ago, just in prime fig season, and just the most fucking amazing figs, like figs that we don't get here. Even though like I know people that have fig trees in their backyards in like Queens and Williamsburg and stuff.
Well, just so you know, we'd have to have you come down to our studio downtown because on Thursdays, because Weiser sets up his own solo farmers market.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and he's a cool dude.
He's a super cool dude. But like, how do you juggle that idea of expansion? Because independence to you is also so important. It's something I've never been good at wrestling with, because having sort of purity and vision is so important. And how do you, and control, right? So like, how do you find a way to do that? Because the world would gladly have as many SBs as possible.
The new space, the kitchen is up. The upstairs service kitchen is very nice. Like, we originally were going to save some of the old equipment, but it was from a 24-hour restaurant for 30 years. So we trashed it and put in all new stuff. It's very nice and very comfortable, but it's thin. So it's hard for me to be in there during service because my guys are like rock stars and they're just like pounding out the stuff. Like, and it's a busy restaurant, at dinner time. So I just immediately had to like extract myself from being on the line during service. I mean, I still go in there all the time and we like kind of like weasel in and out, and like if I have something I'm working on or whatever, but that alone like has allowed me to have a lot more trust in my crew, and I have a killer service crew that's the just so killer, and can push out this food, some of which is like not complicated to look at, but it's some of it's actually complicated to plate because there's so many different components going on, so but it allowed me to have trust in other people to take care of stuff like that. So in any potential different or other restaurant, like that's part of the thing that will help me out. So
it can happen.
Yeah, it can. It can totally happen. No, I mean like the produce in Southern California is
stupid.
It's insanity. It's like it's so insane, and it's not like this is a new thing for me. Like, I worked at Campanile in 2003. Mark Palin, Nancy Silverton's restaurant on La Brea.
Before Nancy became Nancy.
Yeah, like fucking coolest place to work. Like, but yeah, like every Wednesday was like a market taste, the 3-course menu, where Mark would go to the Santa Monica market and like pick out everything, and then his crew would come and get everything necessary to put that into reality. I think Jeremy Fox does a similar thing now, maybe at Russet Canyon, where it's like it's all stuff from the market that day. And it's just like
it's a bummer. It's a bummer he's closing Birdie G's.
Yeah, I know. That sucks. Totally sucks.
What about a line of ice cream? Because well, would you be opposed to that? Because if anything, you can actually control quality at scale to some degree, right? Or no, you think that's impossible?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough to know like an ice cream. Like if you're selling ice cream in stores and stuff, how much of that is like could be traced back to like what we're making in the restaurant right now, or like once you get into like dairy and pasteurization and stuff like that, like on a large scale, like
it loses its soul a little bit.
Maybe. I mean, I'm sure there's ways you could like make sure it doesn't lose its soul or as much of its soul. But yeah, I mean that's it. Like, and then there have been times where I was like, well, I'll just do like a vegan ice cream line or whatever. But then I'm like, but my real job is like dairy ice cream, and vegan ice cream is like almost.
I love the battle.
It's almost impossible. Like I've been trying for 25 years.
Have you tried Malcolm's Tiger Nut ice cream?
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
So good.
I'm jealous.
So it's not out of the question.
No, it's not. I just like, and people have asked many times about like the burger being something that you could get in the grocery store or whatever. And it's just like, it's not sturdy enough. It's not like an Impossible Burger. It's not like a Boca Burger or whatever. Like, I don't know if it would translate. Like, maybe there's a way, or maybe there's a way with methyl cellulose. It could be. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the main like thing, I really like that. Again, if I can go back to point of view, like I would, if it was going to be like a product, I would want it to have like a ice cream or a burger or whatever, like also have a point of view, you know.
Which I'm telling you, I think that there is an opportunity.
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks ice cream bought in a store has been done every which way. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've got like...
If anybody could shake it up, I think it might be you.
We have a lot, because at the old place, we changed ice cream every day, and now we change it like every 3 days. So I've got an arsenal of notebooks and recipes and stuff like that. I could potentially whittle it down to like 10 things or whatever. I don't know.
And, you know, a lot of this sort of punk philosophy that, you know, is in your DNA. Are there still avenues for that in food, you know? And do you see the newer generation adopting it? Or, you know, like I always think about the David Berman song on Silver Jews, "Punk's not dead till the first kid said, Punk's not dead." Wait, Punk's not dead till the first kid said, Punk's not dead. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Berman. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, maybe it's not even necessary. Like, you know, I am very like I admire, and like I came from my culinary upbringing was during the time when you never took a break during the day. Like, you worked.
We start cooking like the same time.
You worked as many hours as possible. Yeah. Like, and honestly, I'm fine with it for me. Like, I don't expect my staff to do that, but it's just, it's what I love to do. So like, it's not a job to me. Like, I mean, it's a job when it gets into like the paperwork and stuff like that. Of course, it's a job, and hiring and firing and stuff like that. But the actual cooking part and the actual service part, to me, like, I just love it so much. And it's it doesn't like I don't know, like maybe there doesn't need to be like a place selling a side for $6 that's using the same stuff that Jean George is buying at the market. Like, maybe that's not necessary, you know, like, but I do enjoy, like you said, I mean, when we started this conversation, is like, I like doing things like the opposite direction, but like, I admire my friends that have restaurants that like charge the proper price and take time off. Like that's cool. That's what you should do, you know? So I don't want to do it.
So when you started cooking and you were in a band, and, you know, we've talked about that, and they should listen to that 2019 podcast. And there's been plenty of articles written as well. Do you think that if you were 27 today, and very different world, food did not have any of the cultural relevance back in 1999, 2000 as it does today, like not even in the same ballpark. You had to really do work to discover, and it was a reward to discover certain things.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you still be a cook today if you're starting at 27? Because I don't know if I would be cooking today, because it's so populous now. And at the time, like, becoming a cook, at least my friends, was like social suicide. They're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, for sure. Wait, you're gonna make how much?
Yeah. Because now it's like professionalized.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't really have a particular plan when I started. I just answered an ad for pastry assistant one, and
in like, the Post, or is it the
Washington City paper? I lived in Mount Pleasant, and I went and I wrote I wrote a resume and it was a fake resume too. I said I worked at the Maryland Food Co-op. Like that would have made any difference, you know. But I didn't know, you know. And I had just graduated with an English degree, so I could write a good letter. Like that's the one thing I got out of college was like I can write a good cover letter, you know. So and I faxed it, like went to the hardware store on Mount Pleasant Street and faxed it to a number that I didn't know what it was. It didn't say what it was. And that wasn't any kind of plan. So would I want to do it again? I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I really do love cooking more than anything, and what I've been able to build for Superiority Burger is like it's not exactly like I'd want it to be, but it's pretty close.
Because I can't envision you doing anything else.
Yeah, I can't. At this point, I can't. I mean, yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, from like a contrarian standpoint, like
that's why I asked.
I guess maybe like now if I was like, oh, like having a 30-seat wine bar, like fuck that. I'm gonna like get into woodworking.
There's a little bit of an elitist, snobbish point of view that I would take that I mean, it's not in a negative way, but trying to do, again, if you're going to zag, I don't know if cooking's it right now.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucking popular.
True. Yeah. I mean, I noticed that even just going to the market at Union Square, like, you know, there was a point where like everyone that was buying at the market for a restaurant, like you knew them or you knew their face. You saw Jean-Georges or you saw Marco.
Marco Canor.
Yeah. But it feels like now, like everyone's from a restaurant. Like you look around, it's like, oh,
it's become like Santa Monica Farmers Market where you can't do anything.
Right.
It's another.
That's cool. I mean,
it's
like,
great, but
like I'm definitely responsible for like pushing people to like shop like that and use that stuff at restaurants or whatever. Like, that's like what I've been doing for the past 10 years. So, you know.
And I haven't seen him in a while, but I was one of his biggest fans and supporters. But I don't think anybody was a bigger champion of Rick Bishop than you.
Oh my God. I miss him so much. Just the conversations.
Mountain Sweet Berry Farms, Roscoe, New York's finest.
Yeah. Fucking Tri-Star strawberries, Caracello cucumbers, all those potatoes.
So many La Rotte potatoes, yeah.
Yeah, no, and like Rick Bishop's ramp cultivation, or not cultivation because you don't cultivate ramps, but like he
had the secret spots.
Right. And that he wouldn't go back to the spot for 8 years, like to let them fully like regenerate. And like it'd be funny, like be sitting there talking to him about potato starch contents. And someone would come up and be like, you shouldn't be selling these ramps. It's like, you're doing it wrong. And he would be just, you know, be very nice and be like, well, you know, we do this and this. And like, then that person would walk away without buying anything. I'm like, you fucking idiot. Like, it's like one of the greatest farmers, like helped create the fucking green market. Like
he really did.
You should have just, and you're like giving him shit to buy some of his shit, you know, like, yeah, no, awesome.
So I just wanted to end on a big shout out to one of the best, Rick Bishop.
Oh yeah. For sure. Like, I mean, when I decided I wanted to make French fries, like, I was like, Rick, I want to use your potatoes. And he's like, don't. They're inconsistent. Use G-Pods. And we do.
What else you working on? Anything you need to promote?
I mean, just my, like, 100-seat restaurant that's a beast. That is open all the time.
Location, for those that don't know.
119 Avenue A, between St. Mark's and 7th. Yeah, open. We're open for lunch every day, but Tuesday and Wednesday, brunch on the weekends, and then dinner like gets later and later as the week goes along, leading up to midnight on Friday and Saturday, and it's the thing. And I will say that like sambar was always very inspiring to me, and you should definitely know that because when I ate at sambar, and this is something that I think about a lot at SB, is like, I want the food to not be like traceable back to like a cuisine. Like, and that happens a lot when we're coming up with specials. Like I want it to feel like it came from like the region of Superiority, or like
I know
the island of Superiority Burger, and like sambar was always felt like that to me, and it's like a very, it's like it's something I still think about all the time, like, and that's something I try to get across to my cooks and stuff, is like it can't be too much in one direction or another. It has to feel like it came from this like island.
I used to tell the cooks, maybe you can tell the cooks this, because I'd be like, you're fusing together sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes up to 8 different ideas and concepts, and when someone's tasting it, you want them to mentally think like it's like they're sewing something together, but when they look at it in their mind, they cannot see how it was sewn together.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
They're like, what? And it's one of those things where you're like, It's familiar, but it's not really. And that was an idea that I took from Wiley in all these conversations about, Wiley's food was really the first to me to do that. Listen, I have the utmost respect, and people adore you, they love you, and more than anything, they just have so much respect for how you fucking do it, myself included.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's a rare thing, and I think it's rarer than rare that you do what you do. Anyway, thanks, Brooks.
Right on. Thank you.
All right, Brooks, thank you. Let's get into a Ask Dave. One Ask Dave.
Today's Ask Dave is from Jeremy from Toronto, whose major domo level is maybe a 5. He enjoys cooking new recipes, but is in no way a professional. Jeremy's best meal was locally recently at a restaurant in Toronto called Edulis with chefs Toby Nemeth and Michael Caballo. And bucket list, though, is Arzac in San Sebastian. Jeremy's question is, we don't have a great fishmonger anywhere near our home, so we're stuck with the collection at our local grocer. And I've always been hesitant to cook a lot of frozen fish because I'm not sure the best way to defrost it so it's not waterlogged, soggy, or flavorless. Do you have a go-to way to cook fish or seafood from frozen?
Good question. Thanks for sending that in. Lives in Toronto. I've spent 10 years in Toronto.
Yeah.
So I would look at the Asian market. The one beautiful thing about Toronto, there's a tremendously large Asian population. In fact, I think statistically it's the most diverse population in North America. Mm-hmm. So you have a huge Jamaican population. Like almost every ethnic group is found in Toronto, the greater Toronto area. So I think the easiest answer is just go to your Asian supermarket and you're going to find much fresher fish. Mm. In the event that you're looking at frozen, if you go see the sort of the spread at a supermarket and it's sitting on ice, and the fish is touching ice, you probably don't want to buy it because it means it's going to be more than likely waterlogged. If it's dry and it looks dry, then it all depends on how it's handled. On thawing it, I will do sometimes a slow thaw in the fridge. If I need to do it more quickly, like my kids love frozen salmon. So I'll take frozen salmon and just defrost it in a tub of water. And the reality is, it's going to be waterlogged. The cell structure changes. Not so different when we made gazpacho, and if you freeze it, you break down the structure that holds the water, so it sort of pisses out water more than normal. That's just not something you can do. I'm sure you could dry it out, but I'm not going above and beyond to dry out a piece of frozen fish. If anything, more than I mean, like you can pan fry it for sure. And you still get the skin crispy. But if you really want to do it, you might want to put it on a sheet rack, wire rack, on a towel, skin side up, and just let it dry out for like a day or 2. So that would be my recommendation. But more often than not, I personally am making salmon rice, so I don't care if it's wet. It's going to be wet anyway.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thanks,
David. Thanks for sending that question in, Jeremy. That's it for today. Give us 5 stars. You can, again, watch this on YouTube or watch this on Spotify as well. We're in New York this week. And again, big thank you to Brooks Headley of Superiority Burger. Thanks, guys.